Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jorge Gonzalez. Today is Monday, June 2nd. It's kind of crazy to think about. In a month from now, we're going to be halfway through 2025. Wanted to give you guys a few insights on what I'm seeing out in the marketplace. First things first, it's a buyer's market out there. There's inventory. Inventory has been increasing. If you want to look at it from a neighborhood to neighborhood perspective, most neighborhoods have more inventory now than they did a year ago, or especially 2 or 3 years ago. There's a pretty significant difference. But I know Metro Denver, I think I saw recently that I think there's give or take 12,000 active listings. And to put that into context, in 2021, when there was absolutely no inventory, and it's like anything that was on the market, unless it was insanely priced or just a property in like really bad shape, and which there wasn't much of that going on back then. All of those properties were seeing, multiple offer situations, 5 offers, 10 offers, 15 offers, 20 offers. And we all remember what happened with prices and how things got bid up and buyers had to give up, inspection contingencies and appraisal gaps and all kinds of crazy stuff. But like back then, at one point in time in 2021, I think Metro Denver had 2,500 active listings, not 12,000, like we have give or take right about now. Also, for historical context, in 2009, at the statistical bottom of that god-awful recession we had between 2008 and 2010, we had 31,000 active listings. 12,000, it's a buyer's market, but it's not like, back then. I remember 2009, downtown Denver had over 2 years of inventory. Now, right now, downtown has over a year of inventory, but 1 year versus 2 years, that's a little crazy. But here's a couple of other things that I have noticed that you may find informational, useful. First things first. Mortgage applications. I read this morning actually that our mortgage applications are up 18% compared to this week last year. So definitely more buyer activities. Now some overall Metro Denver statistics. These are from April 2025. I'm sure the May 2025 numbers are going to be coming out soon. But there was a 3% increase in closed listings, April 2025 compared to April 2024. There was also a 12% increase in closed listings from April 2025 to March of 2025. So pretty significant increase, but obviously 3% increase compared to this point in time last year. It's like, okay, you got a few more buyers out there. And the highest number of closed listings was in the 500,000 to 600,000 price range. Now, interest rates. And let's talk about interest rates, inflation, and tariffs for a second. The 30-year interest rate average is about 5.5%. Now, for context, if you go even further back in time, if you look at the 50-year interest rate average, I think it's about 7.8%. Obviously, the 1980s was a decade known for very high interest rates and inflation, literally double digits on both metrics for that specific decade. But obviously, 30-year average, so we're going from the 90s till now. That average is 5.5%. Now, between 2010 and 2021, interest rates just depending upon the year, were as low as 2.96%, that was 2021 for the record, and 4.69% was 2010, which that was the highest yearly average in any year between 2010 and 2021. So you had anywhere between 2.96 and 4.69%. I think the average for the decade between 2010 and 2020 was probably like 4%, which is a little crazy. Now, past couple of years, 2023, our average interest rate was 6.79%. We're at 6.65% for Q1 2025. So high sixes. My estimation tells me that whenever there is less uncertainty with all these tariffs, inflation's been going down. It just came out that the Fed's favorite inflation number they like looking at just dropped to like 2.1%. So inflation's been dropping. Now, interest rates have not. And the uncertainty of tariffs and all of these trade negotiations between the United States and it seems like everyone else is leading to, uncertainty with business, interest rates, real estate, especially interest rates. I would imagine if that stuff clears itself up, who knows if it will or won't, between now and the end of the year or 2026 or who knows when. But if that clears up and we see interest rates drop, I think inventory is going to get tighter. One of my favorite sayings in real estate is marry the house, date the rate. So it's like, it's a buyer's market out there. And I know in Metro Denver, if you look at the last 6 months, 54.4% of all transactions have had concessions. If you're a buyer out there and you can qualify, you can negotiate, whether that's price or concessions that can be used to cover closing costs. You can bite down your interest rate, whether it's a temporary or permanent thing. Like those kind of details can be discussed if you all have any questions for me. But, it's, I don't know when this shift will happen. It will happen at some point in time. It's just, is it going to be within the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? Who knows? Time will answer that question. But, if you want to look at concessions, at different neighborhoods, the Highlands in the last year, 37.5% of those transactions had concessions of $1,000 or more. And in some instances, there were concessions that were like 5-figure numbers, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, for example. So, there's some real money out there. Downtown Denver in the last year, 27.8% of all transactions had concessions. If you go to the Central Park neighborhood in Denver, it's a smidge over 38%, 38.4% if you want to get exact. So like there are concessions happening out there, and if you're thinking about going out there, whether it's to purchase a primary residence, investment property, and you get something before any kind of shift with interest rates, which will probably draw more demand and potentially shrink inventory, things of that nature. Speaking of inventory, let me talk to you for a second about that. Here are two examples. Downtown Denver and the Highlands. Right now, downtown Denver has between 12.1 and 15.6 months of inventory, just depending upon if you look at 3-month sales, 6-month sales, or 12-month sales, relative to active number of listings. The Highlands is between 4.3 and 4.9 months right now. In January of this year, the Highlands had between 1.7 and 1.8. Now, as of the very, very end of May, 4.3, 4.9. That's not triple, but it's 2.5 times as much inventory. And downtown, in January of this year, inventory was somewhere between 6.8 and 9.2 months. Now, like I said, 12.1 to 15.6 months. That's a significant shift. If you go back a year ago, May of 2024, downtown was between 6.8 and 8.9, so very similar to January of this year. In 2023, May 2023, so going back 2 years ago, downtown was between 4.8 and 5.5 months. The Highlands was between 1.5 and 2.2 months, compared to the 4.3 to 4.9. So stories can shift, and they often do. So anyway, Hope you guys find this information helpful.